Krishna describes in the end of chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita that somebody should follow the instructions of the Holy Scriptures to not fall into the clutches of our selfishness, egoism and our desires. In short, to avoid our demonic tendencies. This statement awakens a curiosity in Arjuna, who represents all of us, who represents all of humankind. And he asks Krishna, what happens with us if we do not know the instructions of the scriptures or if we do not want to follow them? But still, we have faith and we do some sort of worship. He asks if that is Satwik, pure, Rajasik, passionate, or ignorance, tamasik. On this point, Krishna starts to explain that our faith and worship must of course also be understood in relation to the three gunas. He is stating that faith alone does not guarantee spiritual progression. For faith itself is shaped by the guna or quality that predominates a person's character. He says in chapter 17 verse 4, those of Satwik faith make offerings to the gods. The Rajasik type worship yakshas and rakshasas, and the others who are tamasik in faith worship ghosts and spirits. People may have faith in the path they follow, even if that path ignores the scriptural injunctions. But we should know that faith alone is insufficient, for the faith we have is a product of our own inner nature. And that nature is a product of material tendencies, which can of course only lead again to material results and not to transcendental ones. I know it might sound a little bit complicated, but it's actually very logic. The point that Krishna is making here is that if we select or shape our own spiritual path, then we form a belief or religion which is not truly spiritual, because it arises from a form of faith that is related to the gunas, to our inner nature, which is material. On the other hand, if we follow the instructions of the scriptures and follow a religion or belief which is based on the Vedas or the Bhagavad Gita, which has been taught by the great seers and divine incarnations, then we are following a faith or a religion which is untouched by the gunas, which is beyond the three gunas. And therefore, also the result will be something beyond the three gunas. In short, if your belief arises from something material, like your natural disposition, it can only lead you to something that is on that level, material and limited. On the other hand, if your belief is revealed by a transcendental authority, like the scriptures or the spiritual masters, then the results of that belief and practice can lead you to a transcendental realization. From this teaching, we can infer that the many forms of religion and traditions in this world exist not because God or the sages have presented different ideas, but because people have interpreted them differently. Because people are predominated by different material qualities. And that material identity shapes the type of religion and tradition they adhere to. This thought is important to consider when we study different religions and beliefs. But this is for another time. Or if you are interested, you can watch the video about Hinduism compared. So coming back to what Krishna said, somebody with Satwik faith will worship the Devas, divine beings, which leads to a joy deprived of suffering. This faith, in an exalted state, is actually the worship of the supreme source of all, Bhagavan or God. He has many names and is the source of all auspicious qualities, Sriman Narayana or Krishna. Paramahamsa Vishwananda, my Guru Dev, says in the commentary to these verses that a bhakta, a devotee with Satwik qualities, turns their minds towards godly things, towards the divine, towards enlightenment, towards awakening. They worship the Lord with faith, with love and with dedication. all they do is for the Lord. Nothing is for their self-interest or gain. They don't build their friendship, relationship, or prayer expecting something in return. Those devotees are surrendered to God and pray only for the sake and pleasure of the Lord Himself. Let me repeat that. Pray only for the sake and pleasure of the Lord Himself. I like that part very much. On the other hand, the Rajasic faith is directed to yakshas or rakshakas. They are spirits and demon-like beings in nature, often also associated with material wealth or pleasures. A Rajasic faith is directed towards these beings or indirectly towards the pursuit of power and wealth. This faith is motivated mainly by greed. And the tamasik faith worships ghosts and spirits. This faith is often motivated to abuse the power of nature. On a very negative connotation, there would be things like black magic, voodoo, and all these kinds of practices. Both the tamasik and the rajasic faith are connected with the pursuit of power, fame, material pleasures. Even such things as shamanic practices or different forms of magic, as well as the worship of ancestors, would fall into this type of faith. Like I said before, Krishna is pointing out that our faith is related to the gunas. And as the gunas are of material nature, any kind of faith will accordingly keep us bound to this material reality. Only the worship of the Supreme, which we learn through a liberated spiritual master or the instructions of revealed scriptures, can give us final liberation. In many previous instances, Krishna has described this in the Bhagavad Gita in a very simple way. For example, in chapter 9, verse 25, he says, "Those who worship the demigods go to the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. And those who worship the spirits will reach them. But my devotees will come to me." We see that only those who worship God come to God. And only there the spiritual journey is truly fulfilled. If we therefore combine the two statements of chapter 17 verse 4 and chapter 9 verse 25, we can see that only a Satwik faith, inspired by the masters and scriptures, directed to the Supreme Being, can give us true spiritual growth. Other forms of faith and worship might get us some extravagant experience, some highs, some outer body experiences, some powers, astral travel, channeling, deeper connection with nature, other spheres or other beings. But these experiences and powers can easily become a further obstacle in the attainment of true lasting freedom and spiritual realization. I have personally met many people and yogis who have, through their faith and through their striving, attained certain mystical powers. Some have, through the law of attraction, attained a sort of perfect life. But in reality, this has for most of them become also a very great obstacle. My master always says, worse than pride is spiritual pride. And that can only be avoided and overcome by loving surrender to a true spiritual master and to God. That's why we should always strive for love and devotion for the Supreme and nothing else. Longing for God like a fish out of water longs for water. My prayer is therefore that the love and devotion for God grows continuously in our heart. Let me know if you have experiences with the different forms of faith and worship, and maybe what you have learned from them. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'm looking forward to see you again next time. Jai Gurudev.